Carlos Ramirez, owner of NVS Audio in Roselle, New Jersey. We do a lot of rider bikes here at the shop, so small, powerful amplifiers that fit in the fairing excite us more than big, giant amplifiers that you got to put in the tour pack. So the release of the new Cicada FLX 700.4 is super exciting to us. Last year, the owner of Cicada reached out to me and he said, hey, we did a ton of speaker business with you guys this year, but we noticed that you did almost no amplifier business with us. I just want to know why that is. I explained to him that 90% of our installs are 2 amplifiers in the fairing, no cutting. We do a lot of rider setups, so we'll do a lot of 6-speaker bikes, 8-inch woofers in the bags, 10-inch woofers in the bags. Most of the bikes we do have no tour packs. So Cicada builds an excellent amplifier. I love their BD amplifiers. It's a great 1 amplifier solution. So if we're doing 4 speakers, no mid-bass drivers in the bags, the amplifiers are powerful and clean. The issue is you can only fit 1. He said, okay, so we're working on something you're probably gonna like. And a few months later, I had a prototype in my hand and it was the FLX 700. So I told him that my needs for an amplifier would be 4-gauge power inputs. Even if the amplifier doesn't need it, I like it because I like to give the amplifier every bit of current possible. Most of these amplifiers run 8-gauge input or 10-gauge inputs. So I prefer 4-gauge power inputs whenever possible. I needed a speaker level input through the RCAs. I needed a clip indicator. I needed a lot of heat sink. So these amps are stuffed in the fairing. We push them hard. I want them not to overheat. I wanted multiple mounting solutions. These are some of the things I said, I know you're not gonna be able to do all of it, but these are things I would like you to consider as you put this together. And I think they hit all of the points that I asked for. These amps are quiet, no hiss, huge power inputs. I love the way the inputs are laid out. Clip indicator, I mean, I swear I think they hit everything that I asked for. And most importantly, we could easily fit 2 in the fairing on the 14 through 23 street glide. I think we can fit 3 in the fairing, no problem. And I'm talking no cutting, no special rack, just factory. 1 on the radio, under the road glide, 1 under the radio, 1 under the headlight. I think on the road glide, we could fit 2 under the radio now. These things are tiny. They're 5 inches by 4 inches by 2 inches tall. And then most importantly, the ends are tapered at a 45-degree angle. So it gives you space to go through that little rectangular tunnel on the 15 through 23 road glides. And on the street glide gives you a nice taper so it doesn't hit the top of the fairing. They did a really nice job with these amps. And this is the smallest one. They have bigger ones coming. So I know they have a 2500.1, 1000.4, 700.4. I believe they're working on a 1400.4. All super thin chassis and super high performance. I'm actually running them on my street glide, and I have a prototype 1600.1 running the 2 Cicada 10s, and then I have the 1000.4. It's not out yet, but I have the 1000.4 running the 6.5 and the 8s. So if you want to take a listen to my bike, it's actually here in Atlantic City, Harrah's Hotel on the showroom floor. So let's go over my notes. It's one of the only 4 channels on the market, motorcycle amplifiers of this much power that has a clip indicator. The reason that's important is if you're setting up gains and you don't have a scope, this makes it super easy. And I tested against my TPI 440. On the onset of very soft clipping, the clip indicator comes on. So you'll see it later on in the video that the clip indicator comes on at the very same time that the top of the waveform starts to clip on the TPI 440. Speaker level input through the RCAs. The reason that's important is we use T-harnesses on all these bikes. So on some of the amplifiers that have a separate input for high level and low level, then you got to use an adapter on the T-harness. With this amplifier, if you're using a T-harness, you can literally plug the T-harness directly into the amplifier because the T-harness on the Harleys is speaker level. So you have no issues. It'll go directly in without shutting down the input of the amplifier. So that makes an install a breeze. It's got adjustable mounting feet. So on the 700.4, It actually comes with 2 sets of feet in the box. So you can adjust, if you have to adjust the angle and flip the amplifier, you just use a second set of feet that come in the box. When I'm gonna go to the videos of me testing these amplifiers so you can see, when I test these amplifiers, I test them hard. So I don't wanna be gentle on them. I wanna put real world abuse that they might see after being installed improperly or being overdriven. So in the last video I'm gonna post, I actually drove the amplifier into clipping. So I made sure I clipped the inputs to the amplifier, which you should never do, to see how long it would run. And I put an extremely heavy load on it. So I bridged the 4-channel amp. I bridged channels 3 and 4 to a 15-inch subwoofer, 4 ohm, and I bridged channel 1 and 2 to an 8-inch driver. So I had the amp fully loaded down. I drove the input into clipping. You'll see the clip light on in the video, and I played it for an hour, and the amplifier never shut off. So these are conditions that the amplifier should never see. And I put it in uncommon abusive condition, and the amplifier did great. Then I hooked it up to super high level signal through the RCAs while pushing it that hard, and I actually drove the amplifier to its limit, and that actually started smoking. So this is something you would never do. I just want to see how much abuse the amp could take without blowing up, and amplifier still plays. So the smoke came early in my test. So every test you see after it was done after overdriving the amplifier. The amplifier never gave up and went into protection. I reset it and it came back on. The amplifier still playing beautifully. Great job, Cicada. You guys did an amazing job in this amplifier. I'm gonna be using them a lot. Thank you. Check out my abuse videos. So the official numbers on the amplifier, they posted that the amplifier does 120 by 4 at 4 ohms, 175 by 4 at 2 ohms, and 350 by 2 bridged. I tested the amplifier on the amp dyno, so the numbers are always going to be lower on the amplifier dyno because it's got a bank of resistors, so it doesn't have a speaker load, so it's just a really heavy resistive load that doesn't change. And it did rated power certified on the amp dyno, but I also tested it on speakers with AC voltage, and the numbers were a lot higher, so I'm going to post both. So in both tests, the amplifier exceeded its ratings. So it's supposed to do 120 by 4 at 4 ohms. I measured 166, and that was on the amp dyno. I actually got more power than that on the AC voltage. It's supposed to do 175 by 4 at 2 ohms. I actually got around 180 by 4. And it's supposed to do 350 by 2 bridged. On the amp dyno, I got 329. And on the speaker load, I got 450 by 2. So very nicely done. Check it out. Okay, you're gonna see we get 40 volts clean before clipping. So 40 was our clean maximum. We went to 45 distorted. So that was a clean 400 watts on a bridge channel. Few features about this amp that I absolutely love other than its size. First of all, it's a good looking amplifier, brushed aluminum, nice touch. I like the pigtails for the RCAs, so it makes it easier to do an install where you're tight for space. They give you optional mounting for the feet, so you can mount it that way, or remove the 2 screws, mount it this way. So more mounting options is always better. I love the fact that it's got a clip indicator. Aren't too many 4-channels on the market, motorcycle amplifiers, that have clip indicators. Most of the bass amps do, but it makes it super easy to tune or see if something is going wrong, because the light lights up when it sees clipping. You saw it in the previous video. As soon as we got to 40 volts, it was clean. As soon as we went over 40 volts, clip indicator lit up. So even though I could see it on the scope screen, you could also see it on the amplifier, which makes it easier. Gives you a couple of different selections for remote turn on. So wired remote turn on, DC offset. So it makes it easier to hook it up to a vehicle that doesn't have a remote wire. Standard crossover switches, 2-channel, 4-channel, so you don't have to use wide jack if you're bridging it. I love the fact that it's a tiny amplifier, 4-gauge input. Love that. But I definitely give this amplifier an A+. Let's play some music on it.